I'm Ben Mancini. I'm head of the technical department at Outremer. I've been here for a bit more than 4 years now. Coming from a naval architecture background, and I've been the project leader on both the Outremer 55, developed 4 years ago, and the Outremer 52. I think the main thing that is going to strike you when you jump on board the 52 or the 55 compared to the older generation is the aperture, the opening from the inside to the outside and vice versa. That's just stunning when you get on board. The ease of maneuvering, the way we lead the maneuvers back to the cockpit and more central. On the 52 we went one step further than the 55, where we could helm down in the cockpit. Now we can helm and maneuver down in the cockpit to get even more security, more safety on board, and more feel of comfort. The challenges are that the expectation is always to have more. We want more headroom, more vision, more ease of use, and the answer to each one of those criteria generally speaking tend to mean more weight. And you said it just before, Outremer is a lot about performance, and performance is directly connected to weight. And I think one of the big challenge is to be able to offer more, still keeping the promise of a performance Outremer, because that's what we do, and we have to keep on that promise.
I'm Stéphane Renal from Collage Team Méditerranée, and I'm the head of the engineering technical director, pretty much. Well, the 52 is the new generation of the 50-footer cat, which is the heart of the Outremer DNA, because 50-footer for a cat is the right size for pretty much all the programs around the world. So we took basically the best of like 10 years experience with the 51, old generation, with about 100 boats sailing around the world. So that was the starting point for the new design, sorry. And we took the biggest ticket evolution on the 55, and we tried to define what's going to be the new target for the 50-footer, which is basically the 52. Design-wise, we took, I would say, the top 5, top 10 items from the Outremer DNA, which is basically around safety, performance, of course, the quality of the construction, and the fact that we are doing boat for owner. Every single owner is a bit different, so there is a little room for customization, and we need to play with all the feedback from the fleet. So in a nutshell, I would say that the 52 right now is pretty much the best we can offer on the market of world cruiser cats. Well, to be fair, we had such a broad market now for 10 years experience with the 51. It's hard to say there's going to be like 1 or 2 items. It's more like several of them that we have to consider. But basically, all the things which are related to the quality of the construction, the safety, and of course the performance again, because performance is some sort of safety as well, because you can play with the weather, you can play with the speed, you can play with the sail setup. So it's basically the top 3 you want to always keep in mind. We have to be careful with the performance, because everybody is talking about performance all day long, and even more on the cats. What I would say is like the performance is always at the right spot for a target that you define. So the performance of a gunboat is not the performance of a Outremer, and it's not the performance of a race boat, which is not the performance of a charter boat. What we try to achieve on the Outremer is basically to offer the client the maximum range of time sailing the boat, more than motoring, and to have the capability to sail the boat at different angle, different range, different speed, different sea condition, and all the time under a certain level of confidence and security on board. That's the right performance. Basically, you play with the boat, you play with the rudder, you play with the forecast, and you control what you are doing.
To me, personally, performance is 2 things. It's safety, because the quicker you go, the quicker you can choose where to go and which weather system you sail with. So speed to me is safety, and performance is already also our way of being green. Before even thinking about alternative propulsion, just the fact of sailing, hoisting the main, and starting sailing and switching off the engine, even with only 5 or 6 knots of wind, that's still the case on the 52. That's still the case on the 55, which are very luxurious boats, I must say. still being able to do this is thanks to performance. And so to me, the performance is also sailing most of the time under sail and not under engine.
What's the hardest part about building a 52?
I've been to be very strict on the weight of the boat because it's really linked to the DNA of the brand, of the shipyard. We're working with different structure within the boat, so using the resin is really key. So we need to be very sure that we have the balance between the use of the resin.
It was a tight schedule. We had surprises. We've done it in situation end of COVID, beginning of a big lag of supply, many issues with the supply. Keeping the planning and keeping the performance promise, that's also something that always keeps us on our toes until we start sailing with the boat, and we're really happy about it. So yeah, that's a big achievement.
On the 52, you've got 3 carbon bulkheads and more carbon construction in this boat than there is in the 51. Does that change the way that you build? Has that been a challenge?
On trouvait déjà des cloisons carbone sur le 51.
We already used carbon bulkheads in the 51. We use more in the 52 because we wanted to gain more weight, and we had a target, and we are successful in the target that we had for the weight of this boat.
We have to use carbon at the right place on the boat, and basically that's going to help us to get the right strength, the torsion of the platform, a bit of weight saving as well. But it's mainly for the evolution of the market, going for big openings, sliding doors, more rigidity. That's the main target there. It's not carbon for carbon. It's mainly to use that at the right place, and it's pretty much there on the new generation 55 and 52 with the big openings and the wider platform.
What are you most proud about when you saw the first 52 come off the line and go into the water? What makes you proud when you look at that?
Fier, c'est l'aboutissement.
It's a big achievement to see this boat coming out of the shipyard. The production team has been involved very early in the process compared to the other models. We have really positive feedbacks from the teams internally and a bit externally. And this boat is really taking the best of the 55 and also the best of the 51. It's a really nice mix. We hope that it will be a bestseller in the coming years, as the 51 was, because it's really well known as a blue water cruising boat.